Welcome to the Explainer. You've probably seen one of these in your house, the gecko. And today we're tackling a really interesting question. Are they a pest we should get rid of, or a protector we should actually be happy to see?
So, where does all this controversy even come from? Well, it kicks off with a pretty surprising religious instruction that flat out calls the gecko a threat. We're going to dig into the scientific arguments they use to justify that, but then we're going to flip the script and show you a side of this animal that might just change how you see it for good.
All right, Section 1, the gecko as a threat. So first up, let's build the case against the gecko. What's the problem when this little guy leaves the great outdoors and decides to become your roommate? Now, the big health risk here isn't what you'd think. It's not a bite, it's not a sting, it's just gravity. See, geckos love to hang out on our ceilings and walls, and what goes up must come down, right? So their droppings can fall straight into your dinner or your glass of water, and that creates a highway for nasty stuff like salmonella to get right into your kitchen. And it's not just about germs. There's actual physical damage to think about. Geckos are always looking for a warm spot to chill, which can mean crawling inside your air conditioner or other appliances. That can cause a short circuit, and yeah, in some rare cases, even a fire. But honestly, for a lot of people, it's just the ick factor, you know? That feeling that your space isn't clean, which can really mess with your sleep and peace of mind.
This whole problem isn't just contained to your four walls either. Take it outside to a garden or a small farm. If you get too many geckos in one spot, they can become a real issue. They're not picky eaters, so they start gobbling up everything, including the good guys, like bees that you need for pollination, or even spiders that are busy eating other pests, so they can accidentally throw that whole little ecosystem completely out of whack. Okay, so that sounds pretty damning, right? Case closed? Well, not so fast. If you think that's all there is to it, you are in for a big surprise. Because now we're going to completely change gears and look at the gecko not as some kind of pest, but as an absolute masterpiece of design.
Okay, Section 2, a marvel of creation. This is where the story gets really, really cool, and we start celebrating the gecko for the biological wonder it is.
So you've always wondered, right? How in the world did they just walk up a wall and across the ceiling? It's not magic. It's pure physics. A gecko's feet are covered in literally millions of teeny tiny hairs, and these hairs create this molecular level stickiness. It's called van der Waals forces. All those tiny forces add up to something so powerful that they can just casually defy gravity and stick to the smoothest glass.
And the amazing stuff doesn't stop with their feet. I mean, think about this. This is an animal that can literally pop its own tail off to escape a predator, and then just grow it back. That incredible ability, regeneration, is something scientists are studying right now to help with everything from human healing to better prosthetics. Oh, and they don't have eyelids, so they just lick their own eyeballs clean. How cool is that? You start to realize this is no ordinary lizard.
So, we've looked at the gecko up close and personal. Now let's pull the camera back and see what role it plays in the bigger picture, out in the wild, beyond our homes.
And this is where the story completely flips on its head. Because out in nature, the gecko is actually one of our best friends. It hunts and eats all the things we can't stand. You know, mosquitoes, flies, and cockroaches. They are literally nature's pest control, and they are incredibly good at their job.
But it's a two-way street. They're not just hunters, they're also the hunted. Geckos are a super important link in the food chain. They're lunch for bigger animals like birds and snakes. So what happens if you just pull them out of that equation? Well, the ripple effect would be massive. Their predators would start to go hungry, and the whole food web could get seriously destabilized.
Okay, so let's pause for a second. We've got two completely different pictures of the exact same animal. Inside our house, it's a potential threat. Outside, it's a vital protector. How can both of those things be true? How do we solve this paradox? Yeah, let's just put it all on the table. In human spaces, it's a threat, spreading disease, damaging our stuff. But in nature, it's a benefit, controlling pests, inspiring scientists, and feeding other animals. I mean, it just feels like a total contradiction. How can one little creature be both a villain and a hero?
And here it is. This is the key that unlocks the whole puzzle. The answer isn't that one side is right and the other is wrong. The answer is that it all comes down to one single word, context. Where the gecko is changes what it is. Inside your house, yeah, it can be a problem. But outside, in its natural environment, it's absolutely essential.
To really ground this idea, the source brings up a more philosophical point, captured in this verse. Now,
The idea here isn't about dogma, it's about purpose. It's this suggestion that everything in creation has a role to play. Nothing is just useless or there by accident. The gecko isn't bad. Its purpose just gets twisted and misunderstood when its context is wrong, like when it's living on our kitchen ceiling instead of in a tree.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. This whole story about the gecko makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other creatures have we slapped the label pest on just because they get in our way? All without stopping to think about the incredible, vital job they might be doing right outside our door. It's a pretty powerful reminder that when it comes to nature, context is everything.